be laughing at this, but I almost feel like, ooh, should I feel badly for? No, that's funny, but he's just a jerk.
I guess with every character, you get these little moments with all of them, maybe showing insecurity or, a real personality, and he never gets that. He's just so stock. Does that make sense? You never get a moment where he's super lonely or drives a super crappy car. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the one opportunity that we have for him to show a moment is when he is stealing change and gift certificates from his dead colleague's desk. Because at first he's walking around to their desk and he even picks up a picture of one of them and you're like, oh. And then he goes, oh, what a loss. I don't remember. He doesn't say like that ass or something, but he said something that he thought she was attractive, and then he opens the desk and he empties out her change. And it's like that was his chance for redemption on screen. And he just kept being a delicious asshole.
But his death, he gets beat up, and then he gets the pins in him, and then he falls onto them. And what's pretty cool? They put a fake front on him in front of the actor, and then, so that was prosthetic, and then he pulled those out. So that was a practical thing. It was pretty cool.
We pulled them out. I have such a problem with needles. Like, that's my thing. You saw off someone's head, and I'm fine. I'm giggling, and I'm laughing, and my eyes are wide open. But the needles, like, even when they're just putting acupuncture needles in him, and everything was fine, I'm just like, that's my Saw. That is my Saw franchise right there, just seeing acupuncture. And then when she leaves him, when he fell, I fell apart. I just went, ah!
Yeah.
Like, I'm like hitting things alone in my living room, yelling at the screen.
So when his head gets smushed by the Buddha, who he insulted earlier, his gushy brains hit the camera.
Yeah.
Did that make you happy?
That was some serious distance that thing jettisoned across the floor.
So my main thing is, and you know how I work, so I've put these kind of shelves in before. You've been to my house where we have these shelves, but I don't put something that could squash somebody's head on a piece like that. You would have to find studs and wall acres to place that, 40-pound Buddha. That
Buddha was so heavy that you needed to slowly place it like Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't just put that on. There's no way that it would hold. Like, it would break off the wall. You had to very carefully, gently, with no inertia, set that there and then slowly release your hands.
I would hire
for that to happen.
Whoever put that Buddha up and made it stay, because that had been up there for a while.
Masseuse. It was his masseuse.
She's talented. Yeah, she knows what's up. But it did fall.
You put that there.
But that's like a cheeky sense of humor. Then they cut to the Buddha, after squishing him. And
it has some brain matter dripping down his head. Which, by the way, remember the old story of Buddha to explain his connection to nature, that he meditated for some extremely long period of time, and the slug went across his head to protect his bald head from sunburn. Basically.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's like one of those old little basically like Buddhist folklore or Buddhist mythology or something, where the slugs even went across his head to protect him from the sun.
Oh,
as
wow.
he was so attuned to everything. And so I thought that was a reference to the slug going across Buddha's head to protect him.
But it was just brain matter?
Yeah, brain matter slug. Brain slug.
Now,
Slugs, 1988. Great movie.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Read the review at Movies, Films, and Flicks, right? John's Horror Corner. So click on the link. You'll see all of them. It's great. It's Index. John's Index. Now, what about when Koechner eats it with the wrench? Now, the death was kind of sudden, but the practical effects of it wedged into two-thirds of his face was pretty good.
Yeah, I wish that he had a bigger death than that. That it's not that was unsatisfying, but I wish that was a no-name who died like that.
Yeah,
or that Roy died like that. Remember Roy, the union rep?
He got a good one.
Right. But I wish that someone like him died like that. I was hoping David Koechner would get a bigger death. But I did like it. It made me think of like 80s or early 90s, when someone really nails the special effects. That looked like someone spent a lot of time on the latex and makeup.
Oh, for sure. That was a nice practical effect. And I was a little worried at first. I was like, well, that's a quick death. You're not going to see anything. Then I went, oh, they do show stuff.
Right. It's deep in his head.
Yeah, two-thirds of the way, would you say?
That was that was
And then, okay. Now, all right. So my all-time favorite moments of Final Destination 5, I would put the ending of Final Destination 5 in the top 3. Just because you have this nice couple who you like, and they actually went through things in their relationship. They had an arc to their relationship. and then they just like die on the flight from the first one. It's a brilliant, so I didn't know this at all, but I guess someone caught on to it because there's a check there's a gift in that gift card. Someone sees that it's 01.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That's interesting. See, I remember being pleasantly surprised by the fact that we only see like one person with a cell phone in the movie, and it's a flip phone.
Yeah.
So like, it was PJ Burns' character, Isaac. He was the only character who regularly had a cell phone. No one else, like even when they're worried about their friends, they're not calling them or texting them. They are running to get to, oh, she's at the mall. We need to now run from the car, across the street, go up the escalator. Like no one is ever calling someone. So in the end, when they revealed the time, I remember when I first saw that, I immediately wanted to watch the movie again. I was like, there were cell phones in this. I'm like, no, there was one cell phone and there was no texting.
Smart.
So so that really kind of fit the time. I think that I could text in like 2000, 2001, but it's like you had to hit a button like 4 times to get a J kind of thing.
I got a phone in 03. That's when I got a phone. So I wasn't even there yet. Jeez Louise. But the death though, like, so the death in the first one, it's fun. Like he gets whacked, by that massive sign. In the second one, you have the barbecue accident where the dude blows up. And the third one, it's just
the train.
I didn't feel much on that. The fourth one, horrible. You see the X-ray effects. But this one, this is a nice couple. And then you look at his face, he's like, no! And then he has to hold on to his girlfriend's arm. And what's really mean, when she gets sucked out of the plane, she then gets ripped in half by the plane's wing. And then he gets burnt.
I mean, it was absolutely the most satisfying ending to any of these movies.
Now, it made me sad. I was like, I like these people. And that's satisfying. I guess that's good because it elicited an emotional response.
I see the sympathy you have for the characters, but I wasn't noticing that when I was watching. Instead, I was reliving the satisfaction of, oh, wow, that's right. It was the plan. Well, I mean, I remembered throughout the whole movie. I knew it was coming. But you kind of relive when you first saw it for a moment. It's like, that's right. That's right. It was this one. They looped it back. And so I remember just loving it for that. Because then you see some of the same characters kind of out of focus, almost like doing the same things.
Yeah.
No, I liked that.
Now I have a question for you. Now that we've watched all 5 again, and remember when we ranked it in the first episode, all 5, where would you rank them now?
So again, I'm very conflicted between 1 and 5, between what's the better film and what's my favorite movie, right? So if I'm picking them based on which are my favorites, not what's the best film, you know what I mean? I'm putting 5, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
If you ask me another day, though, I might say 1, 5.
It's tough for
2,
me
3, 4.
Because 1 is an OG, right? It's the first, and at the beginning, it's just I like the tension that gets built. I like the discovery of it, but the characters aren't nearly as strong as 5. And 5 has better characters and it has better death scenes. So on all accounts, I should put it 1. But for some reason, I kind of let my feelings towards 1 keep it in the top spot.
You see, 5 has better characters, but I maintain that 1 has better writing.
Yeah, because he's just trying to figure everything out.
Right, the story, the characters working together, them figuring it out. And on top of that, if the Matrix already exists, you don't have to write about the Matrix anymore for, to tell us things.
Yeah.
We got introduced to Death and Death's Plan in the same way that we got introduced to Hogwarts or the city of Zion and the Matrix and how the Matrix works. It's not quite that level of world building, right?
Yeah.
It's not the John Wick hotel with the coins and all that. But still, when we're getting introduced to these rules and this world, like that's a part of that writing and the synthesis with the characters and whether or not it feels clunky or smooth. And so I see that OG. That's like my conflict is if we're saying rank these as best to worst film, well, okay, all of a sudden part 1 goes to easy number 1 for me.
Yeah.
And then I might even put number 2 second. Right? And then loop back to 5. But if we're just going on just raw entertainment value, the raw joy that I get watching them today, 5 probably goes first, right? And then 1 or 2.
What do you think about the death subplot? So you take a life, you get their life in this movie. How'd you feel about that?
I didn't like that, but they delivered it in such a way that I didn't upset me. And also even though I don't like that at face value, I liked what they did with it because like Roy died in his place, so he got Roy's years, and Roy's kind of work friend or whatever was like, oh, well, just as well that it happened this way. And Nathan's like, wait, what do you mean this way? He's like, oh yeah, I mean, he went to the doctor like, a month ago. It's like had a big clot in his brain or something like that. He could have gone any minute. And then the plane crashes onto Nathan as a part of that satisfying ending. Like it's like, so they did a good thing with it. And then it did give that other interesting angle of how someone mishandled his grief for his lost girlfriend, the gymnast, when he came to try and kill our premonitionist at his restaurant job.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, the guy, Friedkin had an arc in here. He was just despondent and he was angry, which I don't know, that's a pretty good, I don't know, it made sense to me. I guess since it was handled well, it didn't bother me. Right.
It's like they gave me a rule I didn't like, but I liked what they did with that rule.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you too, I do appreciate when franchises must evolve. You can't just keep giving me a new spin on the characters. You need to expand on the mythology, even if it's just a little bit. And adding this rule gave us this. And part 2, the new life can defeat death, right, or reset death. So giving us these new rules that don't break the previous movies, right? I think that's good. It enriches things a little bit. It gives us a valid reason to continue having this sage-like trope character Bloodworth reappear for reasons more than, well, we all love Tony Todd. He was Candyman. Of course we should see him again as the Corner. But if he just appears and tells you the same thing, then you just complain that we're just spinning our wheels, right?
I love when they're like, why are you here? And then he closes the door and it says Corner.
Like, right, and he's doing his job, right?
Yeah, well, that's why. Oh, hey.
But you see, if we didn't add a new rule for him to tell them, it should have just been that as the cameo. Otherwise, he would have been spinning his wheels saying the same things.
Yeah, just showing up to play. Like, she showed up to the cemetery, kind of yada-yadaing him them. Oh, yeah. So I have a question, John. This is going to sound crazy, but we got to do it. The Saw franchise, right? So we're talking early 2000s franchises. So we have the Saw franchise, then we have the Final Destination franchise, the Resident Evil franchise, and the Underworld franchise. Where do you rate them?
Okay, I love the early Underworld movies, but I'm immediately putting that at the bottom.
Because of the later Underworld movies.
As far as franchises go, I'm putting it at the bottom, okay? Like, one glowing movie can't save a franchise, so no. That's at the bottom. But then, like, okay, they're such different kinds of animals, though,
If you're,
so you want me to? You're asking me to rank them?
You can't see John right now, but his face on Skype, you just looked so bummed out.
Well, look, okay. When you try to compare the Saw franchise to the Resident Evil franchise to the Final Destination franchise, that's like comparing the individual movies of the Alien franchise. Okay. Because the Resident Evil franchise, that's aliens. That's the action horror, right? And Saw, that's Alien Resurrection. That's your over-the-top gooey one. And this is closer to like the Alien, where you feel tension before something happens. So it's like, it's so hard for me to weigh these things. But I'll say that overall, oh, no. Am I supposed to rank them?
Yeah.
Is that what's,
this is fun.
Oh,
he has his hand on his forehead right now. He's rubbing his temples.
I actually am too. He's making this up. Okay, because if I did not do my tight franchise rewatch last year, I probably would have had Saw very low. But because I've watched it and really appreciated the synthesis and thought that went into it, that most people don't realize is there unless you watch them in a tight, cohesive period of time, I'm going to put Saw at the top.
Whoa.
I'm going to put Final Destination next, because I love what they did. They're trying to do something new. Resident Evil never tried to do anything new. As entertaining as they are, there is nothing original or new there for me. when I was watching those films even for the first time. And I never even played Resident Evil, but I knew enough about